Good evening, students. Before I have already uploaded a video of Puritan as literary artist, but if the question comes around 20-25 marks, okay, or 15 marks, so then you have to extend the answer. Whatever I have already provided, along with that, you have to extend your answer. So, therefore, for extension of the answer, I am giving you another notes. Let's begin here. The religious belief or principles of the Puritans were always been an obstacle for formulating any literary theory. As I have already said before, that Puritans were not literary people. What they believed was a faith towards God. So, in spite of their lack of participation in the appreciation of literature and art, we still have something to discuss about. It's not that they didn't participated in literature, but in not a literary way. They, whatever they have written, whatever they have said in the in on the basis of faith. So how can prose or verse be made serviceable to the preacher? Means whenever you are writing a prose or a verse or an article as a preacher, it should reach the people around you. Now, if we answer this, it is better to answer that every Puritan piece of literature was written with utilitarian intention, okay, so that it get spread among many. Puritans writers never wrote anything for enjoyment or for the sake of literature. This I have said in the earlier video also. Whatever they wanted to say, it does not mean that Puritans does not have any literary sense or sensibility, but it was different. The way we understand it, the way we read a poem, story, literature, Puritans didn't give the light in that way. Okay, they understood the writings, they understood the articles in a different way. Okay, for Puritans, the world around them was nothing but an expression of divine imagination. Just now I said you that they thought the world around them is of God. They were very devoted people, so whatever has been there for them, everything is about God. To them, beauty was an expression of harmony and peace established by God Himself, and literature was an attempt to pursue this beauty for the better understanding of divine metaphysics. Whatever they have said, whatever they have told, whatever they have written, they have done to gain divinity, a spiritual acknowledgement. Okay, the Puritan literature was far from being self-glorifying or self-foregrounding. This I have already mentioned in the earlier video also. Their literary style was simple, lucid, and controlled, composed rather to mention. It was meant to satisfy and build on ideas. It was not meant to ignite passion. The idea was to instruct and not to titillate. What is titillate? That is arouse someone to interest or mild excitement. They only wanted to spread spirituality. So, in spreading spirituality, people doesn't need extra excitement. Okay. Now the Puritan. This can be apparently seen. The writings such as William. Now I have already made you understand what they wanted to say, right? Now, for understanding anything, for writing an answer also, you have to write it with a support of an example. So now I'll start saying you with example. This can be apparently seen writings such as William Bradford, who was a first generation Puritan immigrant, and Cotton Mather, a third generation Puritan immigrant, an example of writing which portrays the feeling of incertitude throughout the life, even by those who have every reason to expect. Sanctification is the autobiography of Increase Mather. Okay, Increase Mather was a person. So in his autobiography, he said lots of things. Okay, and I already told about Cotton Mather. Increase Mather was the son of Cotton Mather. Okay, he attempted to use pseudoscience to explain what he wanted to explain. He wanted to explain contemporary natural phenomena in order to illustrate the power of all God in all things. What they wanted to actually mention, that there is spirituality in every corner of the world. Whatever we do, whatever we see, whatever we feel, in everything there is a energy, there is a spiritual power, there is almighty. Okay, in the 17th century, many writers chronicled the intervening of the individual and collective experiences of New England's Puritans. Okay. For Puritans, there was no distinction between the personal and public domain. They lived with the idea of a single objective mission. They only had one single mission, that is to strive towards salvation. Okay, to go more towards spirituality. Another notable example was Michael Wigglesworth, was a Puritan minister, physician, and a poet whose poem "The Day of the Doom" was the bestseller in early New England. We also find New England is the place. What I said in previous video, that New England is a place where immigrant from who reached America started settling there and gave a new name to that place as New England. Okay, we also find a remarkable account of encounter with evil in which work The Diary of Minister by Michael Wigglesworth. His diary records his thought and conversation with God during his tutoring years at Harvard. When he was a student at Harvard, he um, used to think that he is talking with God. So he has written everything about his thought, about his conversation with Almighty in his diary. His marriage to his cousin Mary Rayner and his agonizing decision to accept a pastorship in Malden. Malden is a place in America. So everything he has explained in his diary. The diary reveals the Puritans' constant self scrutiny. What they used to do, they not only used to think about God, they used to clean themselves with spirituality from within by self scrutinizing their own fault. Okay, which today in our generation, now at this century, we don't scrutinize ourselves. We always think the other person and the other side of the table is always wrong. But actually, self scrutinizing is very important in a life if you want to be in peace and if you want to make your life more peaceful. The term Puritan poetry is also an oxymoron. Back in England, as early as the 16th century, the Puritan radicals had already warned that a cold imagination is dangerous, that the senses are not to be trusted, and the use of imaginative, figurative, and symbolic language invites idolatry. Now, what is idolatry? Whenever you imitate something, whenever you copy something from someone, and you actually imagining in a very ornamental language and everything, that is not actual the literature on behalf of, in the voice of Puritan people. It is not a literature. For them, every truth, every knowledge, everything that a person needs to know has been inscribed in the scriptures by the God already has told us, and therefore the considered his words. There is the words of scriptures as the only true or legitimate mode of verbal expression. Okay, so to Puritans, Puritan poetry is nothing but actually our true knowledge through, rather to say, the reality what they were leading at that time. Okay, in the next part of the video I'll upload soon. The last para of I will explain there, and it will be the full answer. Total 3 videos of Puritan as literary artist is the whole answer of 20-25 marks. Okay, thank you for today.